Don't ask is what he's saying.
Uh, yeah, it's no. I've been trying to catch up on nominees though. I watched American Fiction. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, that's good. That's a very
Yeah,
really good strong script.
yeah.
I think I'm fully caught up on everything, but I haven't seen any of the feature documentaries.
Hmm.
And I've got one more cinematography one, the one about the vampire, the political
Vampire.
vampire one.
Oh, the Chile. Hmm. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
think
which
it
one
is
that
Chile.
is. Oh yeah, the Chilean picture. Yeah, the one where Pinochet is a vampire. We
Exactly.
had that for a week at the OPC, but I didn't get a chance to see it. I did finally watch May December, and
Uh,
I don't recall if that ended up nominated for anything, but Natalie
It
Portman
did.
was really excellent in it.
Yeah, it's good, and it's got a couple. I think a couple of nominations. Couldn't tell you what exactly. I
Hmm.
think maybe screenplay.
I mean that would scan.
We're
I
going to
think one of
wait
the
2 or 3
one of the
minutes
performers
longer.
got
I
an
am
acting
expecting a
or
few more
acting
people.
nomination.
Hmm.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Just to say that we're going to wait 2 or 3 minutes. I'm expecting a few more people.
All right.
Jay won't be joining us. He is on a flight from New York to San Francisco. We don't have a huge group tonight, but we do have a special Fix It section that Oleg has contributed to. We're going to start with that. And while we're waiting for the stragglers, does anyone have anything they'd like to announce or share?
I guess it's worth observing that yesterday was the 70th anniversary of Creature from the Black Lagoon,
Oh, okay.
the most distinguished 3D film of them all.
Indeed. Happen to have it right
Yeah,
here,
excellent.
close by.
It's
Yeah,
not
one of my
3D
favorites.
related, but Bill Plimpton is going to be at the Alameda Film Festival in about 2 weeks with his brand new feature film called Slide.
Hmm. All right. Don't know anything about that one.
He says it's his sort of epic. He's worked on it longer than any of his other features.
Hmm.
I liked all of his features, so I'm definitely
Plimpton. I
looking.
thought you said Clinton. You're a little muffled.
Now, Bill Plimpton.
Plimpton. Yes. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, been a while since I've seen anything from him.
He keeps churning them out.
Scribbling away,
Yeah.
using all the crayons in the box.
Yeah, actually, I can't remember what the last film was, but has been a while. He has.
Hmm.
I think he's been working on this one for 7 years.
Hmm.
All
Seen
right, I
any
think we're going to get
DVD?
started here. There was something I wanted to ask about, but I don't have it handy, unfortunately, so we'll get to that later. Okay, what do you say we look at some images and people will filter in as they do?
Sounds like a
Um,
plan.
yeah. Oleg, are you ready to give us your feedback about your Fix It submissions?
Yeah.
All right, let me share my screen here. There we go. It'll take a moment to come up on Zoom and a few moments longer on YouTube. Okay, the first one is called, this is Steve's Hollywood Hats. And this is the before.
Yeah, the main problem was the bicyclist behind the bicyclist on the right side. There's another person that was just there for. So I deleted him, and then when I thought that was easy, the background simple, it took me about 15 minutes or so. Then I thought, oh, he's the guy in the hat on the right and the left. I thought it would be more interesting if he was closer to the guy on the right, closer to the middle of the picture. So that fix it took almost a half hour. So turned out to be not worth the work.
So we're looking at the before right now. Let's take a look at the after. And I can switch back and forth. But let's take a look at his results first.
It looks like the guy on the sidewalk is now floating a little bit.
Oh, well, that's my fault.
That's just because I'm looking for problems. I wouldn't notice it otherwise.
Of course. I'll go back and forth again on this one. Here's the
I like
before.
the removing the guy from behind the guy on the right. Guy on the left, I don't know. It's almost like he's lined up too perfectly on the line between the two panels, the purple and the gray.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I could move him to anywhere you want.
Yeah. Now you've got him on a separate layer. You have complete godlike control.
Right. Except like
There's a little retinal rivalry on the red, the window or whatever that thing is. A little bit.
on the window on the left side.
Yeah, where you moved him from. That red sort of box.
Yeah. I didn't do anything with that.
Well, I think didn't you move him from there?
Oh,
You didn't do anything to fix it.
wait, I did.
Yeah, just painting out that extra bit of pink that was
Yeah.
behind the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like you were trying to fix that shadow
Yeah.
and went a little too far.
In general, how do people feel about this guy? I mean, I was just documenting a moment in time, and I mean, I guess I'm okay. I've done it myself, fix things to make them look better. Sometimes it feels like, you should just let whatever happens happen.
I mean, that's the purest approach. A lot of people do that. I guess it's just a matter of taste, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's interesting how Oleg has been actually recomposing pictures. It's a neat window into his process. Myself, I would just be fixing things like rotation and elevation, and just technical elements.
Yeah, I often fix lighting and things like that. I don't know that I ever have tried to move. If I have removed stuff, I don't think I've ever tried to move anybody. But yeah, it's just another variation on the same thing.
It's interesting that Oleg used to be a purist like that. Like if there was a little, candy bar wrapper on the ground or something, he wouldn't touch it when he's shooting and wouldn't take it out in Photoshop. But now he's getting a lot more creative and in my mind practical. I mean, I don't have a problem.
And now that we're going in and working on it, I would have cropped a little bit of the top. That red in between the tree is kind of bothering me, and it does seem like there's maybe a little bit too much space above their heads.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It reminds me a bit of this is maybe 20 years ago. There would be memes running online where somebody put up a picture saying, "Does anybody have Photoshop? Can you make it so it looks like I'm standing in front of this other person?" And then people would respond with variations that did everything except fix the one thing the person asked for.
Yeah, I love those. That's
Those are still getting posted regularly. By the way, this particular picture is an extreme zoom in. Is a detail of a picture, and then it was sharpened and noise removed using topaz. So this one was pretty successful, I think.
I thought this was a zoom. I figured you had zoomed in maximum with your W3.
Yeah, you can sort of tell because it's kind of flat. It doesn't have a lot of depth.
Has sort of that cutout look that you get from extreme telephotos. All right, well, thank you, Oleg, and thank you, Steve, for allowing us to rip this one apart. We've got another one from Oleg. This one is Jack's, and I'm expecting Jack to join us at some point. In the meantime, I'll pull it up. This is, the title is This Is Mine. We saw this last week. And Oleg, tell us what you've done. We're looking at the before right now.
Well, what I did was I tried to place the fingers of the reptile at the window, so you could tell that he's hanging onto the window. But you'll see it did not work.
what? Oh, it looks fine to me.
No, this is Jack's,
Oh, the original. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking ahead.
and the hands are not at the window. And the only thing, my comment was, it should be on the window, at the window of the picture as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And
Except it
I
didn't
would
work.
also I would also cut away the bottom, which
Yeah,
is too close.
yeah, I did that. You'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look at Oleg's fix. And I see you've put a frame around it, Oleg.
After it didn't work the first time, and even with the frame, it doesn't look. You can't really tell that it's at the window. Would need the actual window in the photograph needed to have texture in it. Then you could tell that the lizard is leaning on it.
If I remember, Jack's intent was to take a picture that was of a lizard leaning against a pane of glass and then pretend that the glass wasn't there so that the lizard appeared to be holding up his hand in a stop gesture.
Oh. Well, it still works in that respect. And like Melinda said, I cropped some of the bottom off.
And the hand looks like it's right at the window to me. I mean, it looks perfect, and I think it
is.
It really creates a piece of glass that you can't see. You know, like mimes. They sometimes pretend they're in a glass box, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Jack's intent to have the hand reaching out as if there was no glass and it was just making that gesture on its own.
Right. That was what he said. But
this is more comfortable to view.
Yeah, and I think it works.
more
It works better with the stereo window. It looks very real.
Yeah, I think that this is a more accurate version because the reptile actually did have its limb up against the glass. So this is really replicating what Jack. actually saw. The only thing that it's
Right.
missing is a little bit of glare or reflection to indicate that there is a glass barrier between us, which of course Jack carefully cleaned up so that we didn't see it. But let me go back and forth again.
Yeah, it's interesting. It'd be nice to include just a little bit of something that tells you it's definitely glass. I don't see anything though.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
for
in the
once
dark
we got it
area,
without
if
the
you cross your
reflections.
eyes just right, you can make out marks on the glass at the same plane as the claw, but it's pretty well hid.
Does anyone have any comments about the arachnid?
I mean, it's a jachnid, isn't it?
It is, yes.
How many legs does it have? Doesn't look like it has enough legs.
Yeah.
Does it have 6?
That's a good question.
Yeah, there's something about it that makes it very hard to view.
Well, you're getting some rivalry with those rear legs.
Hmm. I think it's a wider based image than its placement in the shot warrants.
Exactly.
Ah, that makes
Oh,
sense.
so it's a perspective problem.
Yeah.
What do you think about the eye in the object at the back?
I'm having trouble with that. I would have recentered that background so it was a little closer, because it's further back than it feels it should be.
What is further back?
The background, the knot, specifically that knot in the wood behind the lizard.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm
Looks
having
like
trouble-
It looks like Oleg did quite a bit of work on that because he had to
Let's take a
create.
look at
He had to
Oleg's
create
again.
some.
I ran it through the auto adjust
Hmm.
and cleaned up some of the blue area.
I know Jack plays it fast and loose with his lens spacing.
And that backwood piece does make it hard to view, because you're getting some rivalry going there because of the separation.
Yeah, agreed. I see that too.
I mean, in Photoshop, you can select. I mean, if we're doing touch-ups on it, I mean, selecting the lizard out of the piece and either blurring that background or moving it would certainly help.
And you know,
There's
it's so
also
well
some
defined, it would be
retouch
pretty
in the
easy to
lower
select.
left corner where the depth is wrong on the background.
Yeah. I like the frame, but I'm not crazy about the color. I think it detracts being so close to the yellow on the lizard.
Yeah, that's the
I think it
reason.
takes away from it. If you look at the original with the black background, the lizard stands out and is much more front and center. This one kind of diffuses it a little too much for me.
Yeah, it's too bright. I think just making it dark would help it.
Or lighter, actually. I usually go when I'm matching a color like that. I usually make the border a bit lighter, so like almost white. So instead of doing a white border, I would make it just slightly yellow rather than bright yellow. It's also a pretty thick border. That's probably
Yeah, I
adding to
just wanted to make the window stand out. That's why I did it that way.
Yeah, it's great. I don't really have a problem with the border or anything. It's you did a very good job.
Well, I know Jack is very fond of this one, and he's probably going to enter it in some international. So, Jack, if you're watching on YouTube, either now or maybe later, I hope you take this feedback to heart. And thank you, Oleg, for making this effort. I think that this is a big improvement. All right. So I think that concludes Oleg's Fix-It session. Oleg, we really do appreciate these. I know that they're a lot of effort for sometimes not a lot of payoff, but if you are so inspired, please keep them coming.
Okay, you asked for it.
Okay. I like them. We are going to shift over to our regularly scheduled program now. Tonight is our special subject, and our special subject is creative. The PSA's definition of creative is altered reality. For us, it's pretty much anything goes, and I think that's what we're going to see here. And this first one, the title is Times Squared, and it's by Steve.
Yeah, it's not actually Times Square, but close. So, it's like Fifth Avenue or something. And, well, you can tell what I did. I just took 3 different pictures and cropped them in Stereo Photo Maker, and then layered them on top of each other in Affinity.
Very nice.
Thank you.
I like the couple on the left there.
Yeah, that worked out.
I like the guy coming through the smallest window. Because it's I have to kind of decide which window it's a part of. It's interesting.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, that brings up some interesting possibilities, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Yeah, I'm thinking about
I might try that.
to do something like this in video.
I did something like this. I don't know if this was before you joined, but I did a test of a recursion with about, I don't know, 10 different layers or something. So each of those rectangles would become a screen on my PC, and then inside it you see the same view of a smaller PC with a smaller window and so on.
And you
and
did
that was
you did this with video?
in Photoshop.
Oh, so not
I remember
video,
that
just
one.
a still picture.
No, yes, just a still picture.
No, I'm talking about using moving images, actual making, so that the women would be walking, the people would be moving around, but the frame could actually move in space. Could move in Z space. It's just interesting. I don't have time to do it right now, but it's on my mind.
Well, one thing I like about this setup is that you don't have any conflicts. You don't have like foreground elements that are overlapping the foreground pictures. Everything fits in its own space. That's something you'd have to watch out for more carefully if it was moving images. You wouldn't want anything passing in the extreme foreground on the background image.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Well, thank you, Steve. This is very inspiring.
Thank
I think
you.
we've all got some ideas from this. And where and when and what is the event that you captured here?
Let's see, what was it? It was like Mexican Independence Day was one of the pictures.
Where and when and what is?
Oh, I'm hearing, I think the YouTube.
I guess somebody may not be muted.
Yeah, For those who are watching on one of the YouTube streams, if you wouldn't mind muting the audio, that will eliminate any sort of echo or background.
When? Let's see. About 2 years ago.
And was this taken on multiple days or the same day?
The same day, I believe. I was just, randomly walking around Manhattan. And I don't think the big picture is the event, but yeah, there's some of this is event. You can see some flags there. It was something like Mexican Independence Day.
Probably Puerto Rico.
Yes, thank you. That's what it was. Puerto Rico Independence Day.
Yeah, this is great creative stereo street photography. All right, well, thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thank you.
Bob, thank you for joining us. I've got one
Yep.
of yours next. This is a conversion, and the title is Thin Man's 3D Christmas. I know the film well, but Bob, I'll let you take it away.
Oh, nothing really much to say other than I took away his gun rights, his Second Amendment rights, and replaced his air rifle with the stereoscope. One of my favorite films, and just thought I'd see what it would look like if he had something else to do besides shooting the ornaments off the Christmas tree.
He must be a bit
The
farsighted.
shaft from the end of the stereoscope seems to be coming too far out and at an angle. Maybe it's an optical illusion.
No,
Oh, it does.
bent.
I didn't do a lot of adjustment that I could do, and that is a problem. But I think just angling it a bit, adjusting it. I want it to come through the window, but yeah, it does have some problems there.
The rail appears to be in the right space, but the card seems like it's just flat.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the conversion of the space is pretty impressive. I mean, going back with the table and the chairs and everything.
Yeah, I did a little Photoshop work in addition to the Leopix conversion.
The lampshade seems to be having that conversion hat issue where it's further forward than it should be.
Yeah.
People's hats. Myrna looks great.
Yeah.
Since Nicky has no glasses on, he should have a hood closer to his head.
Yeah, he must be farsighted.
He's farsighted, right? That's why he's squinting.
Maybe it's an extra large card. Bob, was that your stereoscope that you photographed?
Yeah. This was a down and dirty thing. I just did it for Christmas Day to put on my Facebook page.
that's good. I didn't figure out it was a conversion. Is this also cropped or the original full frame?
I think Leopix did a cropping in order to set the window, and I didn't really do much adjustment. I did some cutting and pasting of various elements. I honestly don't remember which ones at the time. Again, the hand and the stereoscope were all separate layers.
Yeah, I just like the composition.
Thanks.
That's a great conversion.
Yeah, I thought, again, Leopix always give you a head start, and this one was a little more than usual.
Now, have you?
Yeah, if I were presenting this other than to friends here, I would definitely go in and adjust some items here.
Yeah, I think we've lost the heel of his slipper.
Yeah, that's it's kind of hard to see because that white next to his foot is actually, I think, part of that rear sofa.
I think it's actually part of his leg.
Yeah, I'd probably go in and clone her mink coat and fill that space in.
Yeah, his right knee has been put way in the background as if it's part of her.
To me, it looks like his hand is not connected to his body.
Yeah.
Well, you're not supposed to look that closely.
Yeah. Well, Leah,
Oh,
We're
I
not
would
supposed to
say
have
that
it up on the
all
screen
mine,
this long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just like the
we've-
idea, and I thought people would get a
that's
kick.
great potential.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, Matt. You should probably go to the next one. We're not supposed to scrutinize it anymore.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
Pay no attention to the items behind the screen.
Thank you, Bob. That was excellent.
Now I'm looking also on my Lume Pad here, and I don't see that one coming up. It's still on Steve's.
Make sure
I was curious
the
what it would look
stream
like
didn't
there.
accidentally
Your
pause.
Lume Pad has good taste.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if let's see. No,
So,
am I supposed to be doing something to the Lume Pad to advance it?
Just tap the screen to reveal the controls and make sure that it isn't paused. Sometimes that
Okay.
happens.
No.
You're watching
Oh,
YouTube stream?
Yeah, I just clicked on the link provided on the Golden Gate site, which brought me here, and then I shared it with Lumitude.
Mm-hmm. That's the right way to do it, yeah.
Right, and then it popped up, but right now,
I think it's actually paused. This is
tried both
bad
ways.
behavior that the app does. If
Well,
you
the pause
tap it,
sign
you
is
might need
on
to
at
hit
the
the
bottom,
play
and
button
if I-
in the lower left-hand corner.
Yeah, and if I click that, it just goes to the play button, which I assume should be hit.
Yeah,
Because it's live stream.
and then give it 10 or 15 seconds to catch up.
Okay. Oh, invalid request. We couldn't process the video you requested. Please check the URL is correct and try again later.
Yeah, try it again. I do have it up on my Lume Pad, so the stream is active, but there may have been a glitch on your end.
Okay. Let me, I'll click on the link again, but proceed. I will work this
And,
out or just preview it as I've been doing.
You can preview, and of course we have our anaglyph channel is now, if you have a pair of...
Yeah, I prefer
red
that
sunglasses.
previewing so I get all the colors.
Sure. So for our next entries, we have two submitters. One is Melinda and one is Oleg. And instead of mixing these up in some sort of a random order, we will just see each submitter's full set of entries. So Melinda, we'll start with you with Mossy Step.
Yep, just what the title says. I just was going up these steps on a walk, and I just noticed how it was a tremendous amount of mold there that looked kind of interesting too. So I did a cha-cha, and then the only real creative thing I did was to select all the non-green parts and turn them to grayscale.
Ah.
I was going to ask about that leaf.
The leaf is exactly where it is, and well, the color is gray now. But I was surprised how little it changed the view. It's because you don't really notice, right? It's
No, if you didn't tell me that this was altered, I wouldn't have any idea.
yeah, it's the change is very subtle. So I guess that concrete is really very gray. It's also neat how it looks like the mold's trying to get beyond the lip of the stairs, but of course, all the people walking on the stairs won't allow that. So it's doing the best it can in the corner of the step, and it looks pretty healthy to me.
With your separation, it's hard to get a sense of the scale of the scene. If you hadn't explained that it was a step, this could have been like a monolith or a great wall or something. Of course, the moss, it's it's so fractal in nature. It's hard to get a sense of scale from it as well.
Yeah, and I think that's in some ways why I didn't zoom in farther. The moss does have a very interesting geometry. So I thought that if it was clearly a step, then people would naturally figure out the scale. I guess I could have added a banana for scale.
Or a spider. Maybe a bird.
Or a duck, yeah. That's all.
Well, thanks, Melinda. Let's move on to another one of yours. Spooky House is the title.
Yeah, it's this giant mansion up on top of Pacific Heights. Gosh, it must be close to $100 million or something like that. And it sat there empty for decades. And then just in the last couple of years, they did extensive renovation, and now it's occupied. And I was just walking past it one night and saw those crazy shadows, which looked kind of spooky to me. So I did another cha-cha. And the main alteration is just the foreground coping or whatever that is. It was far too close. It's a little bit hyper, so the foreground there was too much. So I moved it back.
Yeah, it looks very natural.
Spent a lot of time on the left-hand edge. You can sort of see that there's still problems with the tree behind it, but I stopped when it was good enough.
The trees themselves are great.
Yeah, I think I turned the highlights way down because they were almost totally blown out, and like the one in the back, kind of. But now, suddenly, the one on the left is really interesting.
So it looks like the lights are inside the trees, or maybe directly below the trees.
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I'm guessing below. But yeah, these shadows are crazy. It's really kind of interesting in person.
It's also nice that there are leaves fallen, so we can see the branches on the inside of these trees. That gives them a nice structure.
Yeah, so this is only a winter thing, I guess. And then I like the little window that's lit up at the top right. That kind of anchors it, I think.
Hmm.
And the sky came out this really deep blue. It wasn't like that at all. I mean, it was a deep a deep blue, but it was a completely different shade.
Was this a cha-cha you said?
Yes, it's probably slightly hyper. So 4 or 5 inches separation.
Yeah, it's very comfortable for me. All right, Melinda, thank you. We've got another one by you. Floating Shadow is the title. I think we've seen a variation of this one before, have we?
You have, yes, and we talked about it. The doing cha-chas this way is it tends to put the shadow below the ground, and I think that's because the tendency is to sort of lean with your whole body, and that angles the shadow back farther, which comes out looking like it's under the ground. And that was interesting. And then I realized that it should be possible to put the shadow above the ground by leaning in the opposite direction to where the camera is being moved. And that was surprisingly hard to arrange. I took a bunch of shots and really had to kind of search for a good pair that would give the effect. And I think what the result was a 2 images taken from exactly the same vantage point. So the shadow is the only part that's actually in 3D.
Yeah, really.
So does that
interesting
mean that
exercise.
you moved your body one way and the camera the opposite way?
That's what I was trying to do, and I think, and that is the way to do this, I believe. And then, of course, you have to hold your camera such that your elbows and shoulders and things don't move.
Right.
But yeah, I think if you take your first picture and then lean one direction and push the camera further than it started to the opposite direction, you can get this effect. But I didn't have one that had the ground well, one I didn't get 3D effect at all in the parts other than the shadow.
There's something surreal about that. That's kind of nice. I mean, it's truly experimental, which is, how you make interesting discoveries.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I love that this is an in-camera effect, that you did it through manipulating the position of the camera and your body. This isn't something that you mixed up in Photoshop. I'm sure you did some alignment or maybe some color correction, but it's such an inventive idea.
Oh, thank you. I think I got my head right about the exact center, and I think I made the frame square. Although no, let's see, it's a little wider than tall.
Yeah, I'll second what Steve said. It's very experimental. I love it.
Oh, thank you very much. Try it. It's easy to get the below ground shadows, but it was I still didn't get it right. Might try it again.
Yeah, I think we should all try this. Certainly easy enough. The concept is, maybe the execution isn't so easy, but of course, Melinda, you make it look easy.
Well, you just see the end result, not the all the other photos I took that didn't work.
Of course.
And there's only certain times of the day when you can do this.
Yeah, well, you want a long shadow. You need a low sun. And I think it helps to have these, one of the large rays of light coming through a restricted, tree or other elements. So this was probably, the lighting was probably created by a space through some trees. And so yeah, you want to do it at the right time of day, and then look for an isolated spot of light that you can stand in. And I still didn't get what I wanted. I mean, the picture should be in stereo, so I'll try again and try to make that a normal stereogram still with a floating shadow.
Can I say something?
Of course.
Please.
Yes, this is Lee Pratt. See the post close to the ground, to the edge of the grass on the left?
Uh-huh.
Does anyone see what looks like a man on a horse behind that riding toward us?
At the edge of the grass?
No, further back where it's tree limbs, but it's behind where that post is.
Yeah, there's
No,
a silhouette that works out that way. Yeah.
No, I'm not drinking anything now.
I'm still not seeing it. It's part of the leaves of that willow.
Yeah, so the big tree on the left. See, it looks like you can see 3 or 4 feet on the ground back there of the horse.
Ah, okay.
And the man riding toward us on the horse.
Okay, I got it now. Yeah, the legs are the most visible part. The man, I have to use my imagination a bit.
So Melinda, you were saying you moved your whole body. I've taken a lot of these similar pictures, but I just try to move the camera, hold it in that shadow area, so I'm not moving and you don't see any elbow action or head
Right.
moving. It seems to work and give the same results, and it gives me the stereo of the full scene.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but yeah, you want to lean to one side while you push the camera, twice the different distance that you moved. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll have to look at mine again because I don't think I did that, and it looked okay, and it did have that raised effect, which I like. Of the
Yeah,
shadow.
and it's hard to do the lean kind of pose without changing the shape of your body.
Yeah. Well, my diet is helping that along, so that'll take care of that area.
I get what you're after with capturing depth in the entire image, but this is a really unique effect because a shadow is something we usually perceive as being flat, but here it's the only thing more or less with dimension where the rest of the world around it is in 2D. Sort of a, well, not pseudo, not inside out, but it's something.
Are you using Stereo Photomaker for this display?
I am, yes.
You can try pseudo. That's interesting too.
Oh, let me do that.
That'll put the shadow under the ground.
Okay, I can do that for all of our
That's a
streams.
very interesting effect. If I turn my glasses upside down, I get it.
Yeah, my legs especially. I didn't notice that at first, but you can.
It makes the photo seem like a scrim in front of the shadow.
Or like you're below the surface yourself and looking up through a skylight or
Yeah, that's a really interesting effect.
It definitely does what you said and goes below the ground. But interestingly, to my perception, the shadow looks darker now.
Yeah, that's really trippy.
I wonder why.
And I'm getting a more pronounced effect on the Lume Pad than I am when I free viewing.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It seems to be a real effect. Maybe maybe the mind says, "Oh, this is a shadow above the surface, so this probably it's the correct brightness." And then in the other direction, it's like, no, the grass is definitely overlaying the shadow, so you perceive it as being.
I guess you could also do this. Like you said, you normally will get the shadow underneath the ground and then reverse it and see what happens.
And then reverse it. I don't know if I've tried that. I'll have to go and do that.
It would probably work best like this one if the rest of the scene is relatively flat. This one works because there's so little depth in everything but the shadow. So you can go either way with the shadow. But I think if you did a cha-cha on your shadow and so that it looked like it was below the ground and then reversed it, it would alter everything else in the scene, and that would probably be distracting.
Yeah.
You'd shoot something that had very little depth, or shoot it like you did this, so that it doesn't have much depth.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you could try. I encourage people.
I would like to see more of these next month from everybody.
Well, it could be another special if you like.
It could be.
And it could just be shadows in general.
Switch these back real quick. I'm unsudoing these so we can have one final look before we move on for comparison. And if you're on YouTube, it'll just take a few seconds to catch up. There we go.
This type of photo is a tradition with some friends who we travel with a lot. Everywhere we go, we try to get our selfie of a shadow, a long shadow like that at sunset.
Oh, nice. I like that tradition.
I'll upload a couple for next time.
Great.
Please do. And Melinda, we have one more by you this week. ILM Sidewalk is the window. Is the image. I'm looking at it through a stereo window.
And a lot of interior windows.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a geometric exercise, but it was looking particularly pretty that evening. And of course, I'm looking straight down the lane, and again with it's the shadows and lighting are one of the most interesting elements, I think, in the walkway. That didn't come out too well in the final image, but those shadows of the legs coming from different directions it was making some interesting patterns.
Yeah, I like that a lot, that cross effect on the ground, in the foreground.
And then I set the stereo window, I think right at the beginning of the legs. So the top of the structure is coming a little out of the image, and everything else is like at the stereo window.
It's interesting on the Lume Pad, I'm getting the right projections coming through the window, but the left side is behind the window.
Oh, that's a mistake.
But previewing, I don't see it as much. Although, yeah, if I'm looking at it carefully.
The Lume Pad is so unforgiving.
And plus, it's doing its little momentary glitches occasionally. But
Yeah.
Of course, it's possible that maybe one of those beams is just longer than the other. The ones on the right are longer than the ones on the left. Because everything else
There's
seems
an
to be
alignment
square.
performed in Photomaker.
It's out of alignment? Did
Sorry?
you say, Dor? Did you say it's out of alignment?
Suggesting that maybe an auto alignment straightened up the posts on the left, kept them from sticking up like on the right.
With some,
Because, yeah, they
some
should
sort
be
of a
at the same depth.
distortion.
The stereo photomaker thinks it's pretty close.
But yeah, I'm seeing on my TV from the YouTube stream, I'm seeing the same thing. The beams on the right are sticking out of the window, and the beams on the left aren't.
Oh, I see it now. I see it. Yes. It looks like you're correct. Oh, I should turn the grid on now. That'll help. Also, the latest version of Stereo Photomaker lets you toggle the grid with Control G. It used to only bring up a little window where you could check to turn on or off the grid, but I guess enough people complained about that you made it work in the way you would expect. So
I'm turning the grid on our streams right now so we can all use it as a guide.
So yeah, it's pretty clear the ones on the right are coming through the window. Ones on the left are just behind it.
What's interesting about this picture is in pseudo, you don't see the you don't see it reversed.
I mean, I do, but it doesn't. It looks like the stuff at the vanishing point only comes like halfway to you. It should be coming all the way. Right? It should be the closest thing, right? So it looks like it comes part way out and then just says no, it's still back there.
In position, we know what it's supposed to look like, so it doesn't feel like a pyramid pointing at us. When it's in pseudo, we still see the perspective.
Yeah, there's so many cues telling us that it's in the back that it looks like the brain just sort of says, okay, well let's compromise.
I'm turning off the grid and switching this to pseudo just so that we can compare. So for those who have their glasses upside down, you want to turn them right side up and see it in pseudo again. Yeah, that's tough for me in pseudo.
I'm sure it depends a lot on the platform that you're displaying it with.
You're definitely right there. Yeah, my eyes really want to see this correctly because of those leading lines. So even though it's pseudo, like Oleg said, I still get that sense of correct depth.
Well, I think at infinity there aren't as many elements on the side of the corridor to give it away.
Oh, good point.
You get I guess about five pillars back. It's where you stop seeing cues from the side of the column, and you just see the tunnel.
Yeah,
but you know what it is, right? So aren't you trying to force those things to be further back?
Yeah.
I mean, it just looks to me like it came halfway. because looking around the edges, it looks pretty normal, and then at some point it starts getting weird.
It's the same for me.
Like look at just the second two pillars. In pseudo, they should be in front of the front ones, but I can't convince myself that it's actually displaying in front of them.
Yeah.
Can you?
Post-processing our brains put into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's making my brain hurt a little bit trying to perceive this correctly. This is exactly the kind of stereo photo 3D movie that if shown to a neophyte, they're just going to assume that it's correct, even if their head hurts because they can see something is happening, even though it's totally incorrect.
Yeah.
And that happens way too often. Not necessarily just pseudos, but too hyper, too shallow, misaligned.
I've seen people put on 3D glasses and look at a straight flat image and swear that they're seeing 3D.
Right. Well, the movies will fool us sometimes during the previews. They'll tell us to put our glasses on, and then they'll just keep showing flat previews.
Yeah, more and more.
All right, I have switched this back to the correct view. Yeah, that was really helpful turning the grid on. That's a tool that we can play with. So incidentally, I know each of you is viewing one slideshow and perhaps a slideshow on your own device. I'm viewing 3 slideshows, and the way this is set up now, I can manipulate each one with Stereo Photo Maker. So if we want to try some adjustments, that is an option.
I'm really liking seeing your adjustments on the YouTube stream. It's really helpful.
Yeah, that's brand new. Yeah, that was nice. So if anyone wants to see anything like that moving forward, just shout out and I'll do what I can. I'm not I haven't memorized all of the keyboard shortcuts like Melinda has, so I should probably put together a cheat sheet of something of all of the common adjustments that we do or tools that we use. Anyway, I digress. Thank you, Melinda, for submitting this set of creatives. They were a blast. Oleg, I'm going to shine the spotlight on you. We've got a set by you, starting with false single point perspective.
Yeah, this was my idea for the 4-dimensional. I exaggerated the colors of the blue handicap signs so that it stood out. And actually, the vanishing point is way off on the right side of the picture, but the way that striping got painted, it allowed it to act as a single point perspective.
Oh, are those lines not parallel in reality?
They're I don't remember. I think they aren't.
Yeah, that's a really interesting idea.
Well, I'm not sure I understand what's altered about this.
The blues are not quite what they were. They're in the right location, but they weren't that blue. You wouldn't have noticed that there was this other perspective view possible.
Okay, I thought that the two spots were angled a little bit relative to each other. So you mainly brought out the blue color, and
Yeah,
It's altered in the way that you often alter your pictures.
yeah. Well, that's my four-dimensional idea. I like
Okay.
to alter the colors to make the composition do something different. By the way, those white lines are the ones that go into the true uh, end of the perspective.
so where was the like the center of your image? Did you shoot it pointing to the right and then crop it to
I
make it?
didn't do anything like that. This
Okay.
is a straight picture. All I did is change the colors.
Then why are you saying it's there's the vanishing point is on the right?
Well, the true vanishing point is where the white lines are converging,
Why is that?
because that's the way they were. And the way they painted this thing allowed it to be looked like a single point perspective. They painted at the angle of the rest of the parking lot.
Okay, I see. So there are two patterns here. There's the blue pattern and the white pattern.
Yeah, and they're completely unchanged except I made both brighter.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I would bring the white up. I mean, maybe bring them both up even farther, because it's the whole point of the image. So you could even turn everything else to grayscale.
Yeah.
I mean, something to make it obvious that it's the
Well, in
it's
a
the
way,
painting.
it's better. Maybe it's better not obvious, because then you don't, it sort of confuses you.
Yeah, that's true. You don't quite know what you're looking at. But I wouldn't have figured it out if you didn't tell us.
And the blue sky, I like the balanced blue sky with something blue in the bottom too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sky too.
And you can change the tone. I changed the sky tone to be more like the striping.
Oh, it looks like you did some editing on the right-hand edge in the sky. There's in the left eye, there's a kind of a wispy cloud in the whole upper right corner that's missing in the right eye.
Yeah, I see it now. I think my camera does that.
Oh, okay.
When it's overexposed, like a sky would do, yeah.
You might want to clone from the right eye.
Yeah. I did it. I usually do that, but I did notice that there was this problem.
Okay.
Part of it is my eyesight.
It looks like you invented a strip of pixels on the right, or
I don't think so. You mean in the sky?
no, on the right-hand edge of the left eye. There's a couple of artifacts, vertical lines. There's a dark line in the sky, and then, oh no, maybe that's the only problem.
No, my
So
eyes.
something moved there. Looks.
It was
It
not
looks
a
like
Josh. This is a instantaneous picture. So
I think it's the center division between the chips. It looks like a line of pixels from the left side of the right image.
Oh, that could be.
Just crop it a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all there is to it. Yeah, for those who are following along on the Anaglyph live stream, photos like this don't work as well.
Well, the color has to be, that's part of the picture.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
basically,
and I have trouble with those blues.
yeah, it just creates terrible rivalry. Anaglyph is not the best way to view stereo.
Except black and whites, maybe.
I mean, if you have greens, yellows, and purples, those stay pretty stable in an anaglyph.
I am showing a half color anaglyphs, which helps, but it's, of course, it's just a limitation of the format.
Yeah, I've seen reduced color anaglyphs, and the thing about those is that they'll kill the reds. The reds just go gray. So you manage it just right.
All right, thanks, Oleg. Let's move on to pavement lines weaken perspective.
Okay, this
Looks like
is
you're
again
experimenting with the same thing.
striping that is unrealistic. Usually, when you shoot sideways, it tends to sideways to a wall. The eye tends to follow it out until it goes off the picture. But here, there's another stripe that goes the other directions, so converges to the left. So it's more balanced. I like all the strong colors here.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even though your verticals are perfectly vertical, I keep feeling like this picture is leaning to the left.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that telephone pole looks like it's leaning slightly to the right.
Not to me.
I mean, if we put on the grid, we can see.
Oh, let's
Hey,
try
that's a
that.
great idea. Okay, give things just a few moments to catch up.
Perfect. To me, it looks perfect.
I think you're right. Yeah.
It just feels like it's. I just feel like I'm spinning. It makes me dizzy. I feel like it's spinning off to the like a counterclockwise tilt.
Good. That was done.
It works. Very nice. Okay.
As vertical as you can get.
And I'll turn that grid off so we can enjoy it again as intended.
And if you were there, you would not have noticed that effect. It was on post-processing, I was able to intensify the colors.
I like that long shadow of the "Do Not Enter" sign on the side of the building.
Oh yeah. And it's mirrored by a it's also converging toward the bottom there.
Oh, along with those cables.
The cables, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the word I was hunting for.
Got it.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice theme. I like the idea.
I'm sorry I didn't get the full title of this one. It's Pavement Lines Weaken Perspective Pull. Yeah, thank you, Oleg. Here's another one by you, the title being Two Couples Walking on Main Street.
The only thing I intensified the reds, so that was your first look at the picture, and then I noticed the couples were sort of mirrors of each other, and I changed the colors of the shirt and whatever the girl is carrying to be the same. So that off yellow colors balancing left and right.
Yeah, it works.
And the red is supposed to attract you into the picture. The idea was you look to the back, and then what else am I looking at? Then you realize those two couples are balancing the picture.
So it's like you first notice the red, then the yellow, and then the greens, I guess.
Yeah, and in the end, you start looking at the rest of the picture. The idea is it takes time to take it all in.
Right. Yeah, it's very subtle.
Is this all in camera, Oleg, or is this composite from multiple exposures? Were these couples right in this exact place at the same time?
They were in the exact place. The only difference is I brought the lady on the left side a little closer to the one on the closer to her partner. She was quite a bit farther to the left of the picture.
So maybe you created a friendship that didn't exist.
Well, they're going together, but they weren't that close of friends.
Okay.
G-infinity.
All right. We have one more by Oleg. I think we might have seen a version of this before.
Yes, you did.
Mural's car confronts actual truck.
Well, what happened, I took another one and I did it's hard to see, but I did a 2D to 3D conversion of the car. Just conceptually, I thought the Mural's car was sort of confronting the truck. But so I did that 2D to 3D conversion to make it literally confronting the truck.
Yeah, it works perfectly.
I like the fact that the mural has this similar clouds to the actual clouds. And one thing I'm very curious about is the car, the mural painter gave the car this gun-like thing on it that he put on the hood. Does anybody know what that's supposed to be?
Supercharger. It's the blower on a supercharger.
Oh, they put it way up there.
Yeah. They're not usually cylindrical like that. It's not the most accurate representation of one.
Okay, so that's something real. I thought it was something that the painter decided to give the guy a truck, a weapon.
Yeah, if you look up funny cars and hot rods, you'll see blowers like that coming up through the hood.
Ah,
But that one appears to be drawn from memory.
I think there is an error in the conversion. I think there's the black segment in the windshield actually belongs to the service station that's behind the car.
oh,
Huh.
I don't think the windshield, the perspective is all that accurate, but I'm pretty sure that piece belongs to something else.
I had a lot of trouble with that window. I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Sounds like Matt got it in just a few seconds.
Hard to tell.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of perspective errors in the mural itself. The fact that it could be converted at all is pretty impressive.
With a tiny bit of manipulation, this truck could be carrying that mountain.
It could be. Yeah.
So just fill up the hopper, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Oleg. Well, thank you very much. Now, we're not done yet. That actually concludes our submissions for the evening. But what I want to do is our end of meeting straw poll. There is a link in the chat to the poll. So if you have a web browser, if you have access to a web browser, please select your top 3 from this evening's slideshow. Now, of course, this is a small group and an even smaller audience, so the results won't be scientific, but we are interested in knowing just where things fell tonight. Does everyone have access to that link? Do I need to repost it in the chat?
I've got it.
What I'd like to do is go through the slideshow again, just to familiarize ourselves. I'll spend 3 to 5 seconds on each slide.
Is the Fix-It part of the competition?
No, the Fix-It is not a part of the competition and is not represented in the straw poll.
Okay.
All right, I'll start now. These are actually the Fix-Its, so I'll go through these. We can enjoy them, but we won't be voting on them. All right, starting with Steve's times squared. I'll go through the rest now. And again, if you're on YouTube, there'll be a lag of 10 to 15 seconds. All right, if you're following along on Zoom, that's the group. On YouTube, it's catching up. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And let's spend 2-3 minutes, however long we need, to make our selections in the poll. Yeah, don't be thrown that the poll starts with number 5. 1 through 4 were our fix-it entries for tonight. Would anyone like more time? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we can look at the results. Again, this is a pretty small sample, so take these results with a grain of salt, but I think they generally reflect how we felt about tonight's slideshow. We had some really tremendous entries tonight. I feel like the creative subject has really evolved in the past 12, 18 months. And I think the introduction of AI conversions has played a big part in that. We're seeing less true creatives, Photoshop mashups. We don't see as many of those as we did. Now we're seeing really kind of more studied, more experimental creatives, and I think that's an exciting development. I think these results speak for themselves. Oleg, well done. Bob, I'm not surprised. That's a great conversion. And Melinda, I'm definitely going to steal that idea. Floating shadow, you'll probably see some next month.
Yeah, please. I'm very curious how far we can push the effect.
Yeah. Of course, we can have a special, but we don't really need a special. If you would like to experiment with the floating shadow or sunken shadow technique, you can submit it in any open exhibition.
Yeah, I was just suggesting that we have a special on shadows in general.
Well,
like I could have used my spooky house.
it's probably not too late. Let's take a look. Let me share my screen again. This will pop up in a moment. And what is our special competition schedule? So for next month, our subject is rivalry. Would we like to change one of these subjects for a shadow subject? Or do we want to enter our shadow stereos in our open exhibitions? Any thoughts? Make this a little more legible.
I'm fine sticking with the schedule as is.
Well, let's plan
If
on
you wanted
entering.
to change anything, you could probably take out Google Earth. I sort of find those after you've seen a few, they kind of look the same. But that's just me.
How do we feel about that?
I feel the
I'm
same
moving to
way.
make that decision right now. Doesn't sound like there are strong feelings one way or another.
Sneak him into the main competition.
All right, yeah, that's fine. All right. Well, that actually concludes our meeting. I do have a few announcements to make. Our next meeting is next month, obviously, Tuesday, March 5th. Our special subject is rivalry, intentionally using retinal rivalry for a creative effect. I do want to emphasize that this year I will be phasing out the download slideshows. The reason being, it really limits the how late I can accept submissions. I would like to select submissions up until the time of the meeting, but because of my schedule, because of my work schedule with the download, the download files, I need to prepare those like on Sunday night because I'm just not available to do them Monday or Tuesday. So please prepare for that. I don't have a hard date. I won't cancel them next month, but at some point I would like to just turn to the streams. And if you need help setting that up, or if there's another kind of stream that you would like, we can talk about that as well.
This seems to work really well. I really do like having the real-time adjustments visible in the slideshow.
That's been one of my long-term goals. Long-term goals are accept stereo photos at the meeting, which we used to do, like 10 years ago when we met in person and we just sort of winged it every month.
When people would bring in cards or slides even, yeah.
I think that's all we had to do. That's right. We even had a print section back then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those were the days. But I also really like the ability to do these real-time stereo photo maker manipulations. I agree. And I need to work on my skills doing that with key combinations, and I'll work on that on my end. But yeah, I'm thrilled that it's working.
It's I love that you can make those edits in real time, but the problem is I don't have a way to view in stereo in real time. I mean, I guess I can see I can make the window super small and then I can free view parallel, but I'd really love for there to be something that streams that can be done cross view.
Well, you could. I need that.
Oh, Matt?
Yes.
You could always buy one of these. These are great. Yeah.
I'd like to just mention that Apple is doing demos of the Apple Vision Pro at Apple stores. I don't know if everyone's aware of it. I just booked mine for tomorrow for a 30-minute demo. If anyone's interested, I think before they get booked up, you can go online and do that.
Yeah,
So
I think they're doing them through the next month. Is that right?
I believe so.
I should do one. Thanks, Mike, for the link to Hot Rods with Superchargers. Oleg, you may want to take a look at that.
You're quite welcome.
Oh, I missed that in the chat. Yes, thank you. Yeah, Melinda, with one of these devices, a beam splitter, you can view side-by-sides as cross-eyes by adjusting the position of the mirrors. So maybe something like this would help you. These are sold, I think, Steve, you probably got yours on the Berezin website. I think I probably
That
got
is
mine there
correct.
too.
I got it, Berezin.
Can you drop a link in the chat?
Let me pull that up, yeah. The website that hasn't been redesigned, but they've got the stuff that you need. Let's see, Steve, I think yours is the Pocket 3D View. I'm going to put this in the chat.
Night, Robert.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think this is, it looks like it.
Yep,
And they have
looks
a
right.
few other models also, but I think that's probably the best for our use.
Yeah, I mean, am I muted? No. The earpieces broke, but then I just fixed them with some cloth and some tape, and then that's held for a long time.
Yeah, I just
I
hold
noticed-
mine up.
Yeah, yours is a little bit different. I don't know, it's a different model.
It is a different model, and I haven't been able to find this model again at some company from China I've never heard of. In fact, most of the printing
Yeah.
is in Chinese.
This has a little adjustment up here on top.
Same thing, yeah. Can be rotated.
Yeah, mine slides forward and back, yours rotates.
And this will switch the orientation of the mirrors from left on left to left on right, basically wall-eyed to cross-eyed.
I can't, this won't do that. This will just change, whether you're looking at a big pictures big or small, you can make
Interesting.
adjustments.
Okay. So that might not work for Melinda.
Yeah, it doesn't sound to.
Why would it not work?
Because
I don't have a stereo device that can take a streaming data. So I could certainly free view in side by side, which is my preferred viewing. But if there's only parallel, then and there's no download, then I won't be able to see them in stereo.
No. Well, you might
Unless
check and see if there's one that has an adjustment. But Matt, you can swap it. So, well, that would take longer though. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, my whole goal here is really to just have one slideshow. What I have been doing is like 5 or 6 individual slideshows, and it's just kind of getting out of hand for me, which is another reason I'm shifting to this streaming format. Well, Melinda, we'll find a solution for you. There's definitely a way to make this work on your end.
I hope so. Yeah.
All right. Before we call it a night, does anyone have anything they'd like to end with?
Nothing coming
Thanks
to
for turning
mind.
out.
I would like to.
Go ahead.
I would like to know, Steve, how you attach the bands to the side of your Berezin device. I have the same problem.
I just took a little piece of fabric and taped it. Used some black tape here.
Oh.
I'm sorry about the Zoom is, trying to figure out what it wants to not show. But right, just put some tape, and the tape kind of will hold for a while. But then when I tape the fabric, so the fabric is acting like a hinge. And
Gotcha.
that's held for a long time. It's held for, I don't know, seems like a year now.
Yeah, my earpieces broke off real early, and
They're really flimsy.
Yeah.
I saw that as soon as I got it, that I said, oh, those are little thin little nibs that it uses to attach. But this has been good, and it it even folds up, which is not necessary. I keep it on my desk.
Yeah, Melinda, those really will work very nicely, just looking at side by sides in the Zoom window.
Yeah, that could help, but I'm also realizing that I'll be missing the ability to use Stereo Photomaker during the meetings. So Matt, do you think it's possible you could just take the images at meeting time and put them in your Dropbox or something? I don't need to have them in advance.
It's a lot to juggle before a meeting. Frankly, it takes me a good 90 minutes to get everything set up here. And if possible, I'd rather not be working with the files. I'll think about that. But do consider a viewer or some sort of device, just to simplify things.
How are you viewing things now?
With Stereo Photomaker, I download the images.
Okay.
And I can go through them. I can go back and forth without asking the.
How are you able to make the Stereo Photomaker images into 3D?
I cross-view them.
Got it. Just by looking at them side by side.
If you can cross view, this is what this does. I can cross view as well, but I can't I can't parallel view. That's what this does.
Yeah, that's my problem. But if I have the images local, I can switch.
Are you looking at it on a computer monitor?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm doing. So this would work. There's no reason why this wouldn't work.
Yes, it would work, but it also means that I can't turn on the grid or make any adjustments and things during the meetings.
Well, yeah, but I think that's to do that.
A small sacrifice. Because I'm not doing that either.
Yeah, so that might have to be the sacrifice I make. It's just unfortunate.
Now that I'm projecting with Stereo Photomaker, I can make those adjustments as well. So if you want me to switch on the grid or do an alignment or something like that, let me know and I'll do it for everybody.
Yeah, I would suggest that we limit that though, because these things. I mean, tonight was fine because we only had a handful of pictures, but these things could easily get out of hand in terms of how long it takes to look at each picture.
And I do different kinds of experiments on the fly and stuff. It definitely wouldn't work to ask you to do it.
Maybe a couple of days after you could. I want to figure out if there's a way without overworking you that you could get the images.
The goal is to have the meetings 100% streaming. So I would really rather give up the file downloads entirely.
The other side of that is that the streaming images are really a lot lower quality than what you would get from a download. I see Golden Gate Stereo Society as a learning tool for me. I look at these images and study them in great detail and listen to everybody's comments. And it's really helpful to be able to pull up the full-size image and really study that in detail to learn from it.
Well, that's a good point.
Maybe this can be an offline thing. We can just send files to each other, piecemeal.
Or we can send them to the groups.io.
That would work.
Yeah, that may be the best solution.
I like that idea.
All right. Well, I won't pull the download files without an announcement, and we will have them next month. But let's plan on an alternative, such as sharing on the group's IO discussion board for later this year.
And that can be the way that we make our submissions.
No, I really need you to use the file upload tool so that I'm notified, and it also does a lot of naming and some processing as well.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I'm getting
Is there a
away.
way-
What I really don't want are random images coming in, and I'm scrambling up until the time of the meeting to get them ready for the streaming slideshows and set them up somewhere for download. It's just too overwhelming.
I mean,
All right.
we can still have the a deadline. You're trying to remove the deadline, but
That's a big part of it. I do want to make that deadline closer to the meeting time.
and it's fine for me to download them at meeting time. That would work too.
Well, I'm not sure if it's going to work for me, unfortunately, not
Yeah.
moving forward, just because they're a lot to manage.
Okay, let's all pitch in and hire Matt, an assistant, for digital manipulations.
If someone wants to volunteer, that would be great. All right. Well, we will get this sorted out. Everyone will be seeing the slideshows in stereo one way or another. I can assure you of that. That said, I'm going to call it a night unless anyone else has anything they'd like to say. And I will see everyone on
I can
Zoom
just real quickly
on March
add that
5th.
the new Despicable Me film is being advertised as in real 3D.
All right.
All right.
Is this an actual Despicable Me or another Minions?
Well, it has Gru in it.
All right. All right.
And we got Steve Carell. I can take the Minions only in small doses.
All right. And then I'm sure Dune Part 2 is going to be 3D, at least in some screens. There's a really nice conversion the last time around.
And it's anybody's guess about a Luca.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll have to wait and see.
they'll probably just have it play on an island somewhere.
Panda 4 is supposed to be in 3D.
Which one?
The one with the panda, Panda
Kung Fu
4.
Panda?
Oh,
can't-
Kung Fu Panda. Yeah, that's right.
Kung Fu
Yes.
Panda.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm always hoping for more native 3D. I know that our experience with the new Vim vendors wasn't ideal. We didn't talk about that in the meeting last week, but the system that the Roxy rented to run Anselm is lacking.
That's too bad.
It was an actual shutter glass system, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt let the entire audience know too.
In what way?
Here's what they
He
what the
said
Roxy
in as
said.
loud a voice as I've ever heard Matt use, "This is the worst 3D I have ever seen."
So I wrote
He wanted to
the
make sure that nobody was going to think that this is what 3D looks like, so they'll
Yeah.
never. It's funny, in line, I talked to a woman who had never seen a 3D movie, but it's the only way you could see this particular film, and she was interested in the artist. And I thought, oh, great, maybe this will be she'll be a conversion.
Uh,
No, that film's not going to convert anybody.
well,
At
I'm
least
going to
that's-
order the Blu-ray. I'm going to
Roxy.
see what it can really look like. I'll have to get it from Germany.
Yeah, my fear with the Roxy's presentation was that it will scare people away from 3D. It was such an uncomfortable, dark, unsaturated picture using
Green.
this weird shutter glass system I had never heard of. I wrote the Roxy, said, thank you for bringing 3D to the Roxy. I wasn't satisfied with last night's screening. Gave them some tips, and they wrote back and said, we were very appreciative of your input. We would love to have the permanent capability for presenting the format. Unfortunately, that remains a hope for our future. Wish us luck. So I don't know who talked them into renting this system.
I imagine the price was right for a matte screen. I don't personally care for the Dolby system, but that might be their best bet. I don't know how much that costs. I know that the glasses are like $50 each, or they were back then.
Well, those shutter glasses
Yeah,
couldn't have been too cheap.
I'm with you, Tor. The Dolby system is, I think, not as good as Real D, but it's far better than the one they used at the Roxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that system before. Extra or something it was called.
I got a picture of it somewhere. I forget what it was called. Yeah. Let me see.
We don't need to suffer too much.
Well.
Yeah, I don't recall. All right. Do you have that handy, Tor?
I'm digging it up here. Yeah, here we are. It's called Expand. XPand.
Expand. That's right. Expand. Never heard of it. I'm looking for the Wikipedia page is kind of uncertain about the exact tech they're using.
I was surprised that the Raphael, they played on some, but they didn't offer it in 3D. And that was where I would have expected to catch it.
Well, yeah, we know they do 3D projection. That's where Bob Bloomberg did his 3D sideshow for years.
Indeed. Another letter writing campaign. Have you gotten to watch The Man Who Wasn't There?
Oh, I watched it.
I may have to borrow that.
Copy up here somewhere. Yeah, very 80s. Very ambitious, doing those Invisible Man effects in 3D.
If I remember the trailers, they did a lot of stuff just straight physically. They just built rigs with empty shirts and things.
Sure. Puppeteered the hat and all that. But there were a few scenes that were
did a bit of that in
full-on Invisible Man.
They did a bit of that in 1930. Okay, no. I was going to say they did a bit of that in 1933.
1933?
Yeah, but not in 3D. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I think they used the same technique in the film, but they just did it in 3D, which was impressive.
Righty then.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up. I will see everyone next month. Have a great evening, and thanks for coming. Good night, all.
Right on.
Have a good one.